It has been on our screens for over 2 decades and Strictly is gearing up for another series. One contestant throughout has been a constant. He's not a contestant. He's a judge. He's a judge. He was a dancer. He was a professional. He was a judge. Anton Du Beke. He's the man. I
wish I was a contestant. I'd have won the thing.
You've been a constant, though.
I would have won the thing. At last, I won. How did you win? I danced.
Anton. Well, he's a man of many talents because we're kicking off with this Operation Tango.
Thank you very much,
mate.
And that's why you're here today. It's not about... I mean...
Well, I've come to see you two. I love you two.
I know you do.
It's nice that I happen to bring a book along.
It's absolutely... Tell us a little bit about it.
It's the second in the series.
It's the second in the series. They are standalones, as you know, but it's a story about the twins, Harry and Rosie. They are obviously based on my children, George and Henrietta, twins. And I wanted to write a story for them, really, for my children. Something that they could, you know, sort of really invest in, but felt it was about them. But I've said it in this, during the Second World War, because the thought of... I love when I was young, I loved adventure stories. I wasn't much...
Famous Five?
Yes, I was all about Enid Blyton. I wasn't so much a fantasy guy or a sci-fi guy. It was adventure stories, and I loved that. And this is a story of adventure and intrigue and code-breaking and them being evacuated. They were evacuated from London. They lived in London. They live in London, the children, in a Mayfair tea room with their parents. Father's gone off to war. They've been evacuated up to the northwest. I always have to go northwest, just below Blackpool.
Just outside the ballroom, where a certain ballroom might be.
Yeah, where a certain ballroom might just be. But a place called Cotterell Cove, and they've been evacuated up there to go and stay with their Uncle Rupert. And then the adventures sort of
I love that you've done it in this time, because that means there's no mobile phones.
No mobile phones,
There's room to play. It's going to be a lovely book.
You love your period, don't you? Because your other series of books is set in the 30s.
It is. It started in the 30s. We're now into the Second World War there. And I find it a fascinating period of time, just for the speed of how everything evolved. I mean, you know, I know you're interested in this.
Yeah.
You started the sort of Second World War period, and we were just coming out of biplanes. And then by the end of the war, which is, 5 years, not a huge amount of time in the context of history, we're into jet planes. I mean, extraordinary advances.
Yeah.
But I liked the sort of espionage of the whole thing, the stuff that was going on. So the children, they stumble onto an adventure. And it was all motivated by... I was sitting on a train, literally sitting on a train. I looked out onto a platform and I saw a couple sort of having what seemed like a disagreement. Gentleman there doing this, probably lost the passport, suitcases, and the wife going, "I told you..." So in my head, one of them was a spy and one of them was something. And then suddenly that was the sort of kernel for the story that the children are on a train.
And they were like, "Why is Anton Du Beke looking at us?
Staring at us? Why is he staring at us making
staring
notes?
at us."
So, obviously, the two critics that live in your own house, Henrietta and George, what do they think of it?
Well, they absolutely love it. And I
Thank God, right? If your children don't like it, you're in trouble.
She was... Henrietta put it down last night, just finished it. And every time you looked at her, her nose was in the book, and George has just picked it up. He had something else to do. He picked this up now, and he's away. And they both love it.
What a compliment.
And that's it, really. And I didn't make them read it. I wanted them to choose to read it. And I didn't say, keep going. And they loved it.
So what, did you just put it on the side, like, subtly there? Like...
I said, it's hungry, but you could have this, perhaps, for dessert.
It's also a nice way to get kids interested in history, I think, as well. When you set something in any other time, it just piques their interest and they find out more about that time in the world, which I think is always a good thing.
And if you can put it into an adventure story as well. I mean, our children they did last year at school. They were doing Egypt and they loved that, and they're doing sort of Greek history now at school. And they'll work their way through the decades, I suppose, and they're finding that fascinating as well. Yeah. So it's just being able to sort of weave it through a great story.
Brilliant. Known as a best-selling author now, how does that feel, Anton?
I have to tell you, that is everything, really. It means the world. And so thank you to everybody who's bought the books and enjoys the books, because I love them. I love the stories, whether it's the children's books or the adult fiction. Sounds like erotic fiction when I say it like that, doesn't it?
Is there another one coming out?
Just
Monte Carlo by Moonlight?
That's out now.
Monte Carlo by Moonlight, that sounds pretty erotic.
Yeah, that's just come out now.
You got up your sleeve. What are you playing at?
No, you are smashing it as an author,
Thank you very much. I love it. I was inspired by an old teacher of mine, really, from when I was my children's age. And I still remember, 50 years later, I still remember her now. And she used to have this wonderful ability to sit us all down, the children down, and say, let's have a story. And she would just tell a story. Wouldn't read it, tell a story.
From her head?
From her head, she'd just make this up. And you'd be sat there completely...
in.
And then she'd go, 2 weeks later, she'd come back, should we carry on with the story? Oh, yeah, not mine. And we'd sit there and she'd just carry it on.
Isn't it funny?
She's
that age,
what an
you still
ability.
remember. Having a great teacher is so important.
Yeah, the only one I really remember.
Yeah, it only takes one now.
Only takes one.
Only takes one.
The rest of your
Look
life.
what, it's changed your life completely.
Story. I love stories, you see.
Do you have a good dance teacher when you were a kid? Like, was there a dance teacher that you loved?
There was a man called John Delroy who changed my life.
I mean, if he wasn't a dance teacher with a name like John Delroy...
Great name.
I mean, if it wasn't showbiz, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But he basically changed my life.
How did he change your life?
Well, I'd already started dancing and I came to him a bit later. And I was sort of going along, doing what I was doing. I was not reasonably successful. I was doing all right, but not great. And I was sort of trudging along. And then I went to have lessons with him. And he went, what are you doing? Why don't you... And literally... I went from this path to this path. And I basically owe everything to him as a dancer and as a performer. He was everything.
Isn't that marvellous?
He was the man.
mentors,
He was the man who changed my life. There you are.
That's unbelievable.
Because you almost gave up once, didn't you? There was a period where you...
Yeah,
I can't believe that's true.
Well, we were competing and we were doing the French Open. At the time, we did the French Open Championships in Paris. And I thought, I was hoping to do quite well. We hadn't been doing very well. It wasn't going very well.
Because it's tennis, that's why. You were there just dancing in the middle of a tennis court.
I was there on clay.
What's he doing here?
Who dances on clay, for crying out loud? And we did awfully, so terribly. And I remember going back to the hotel room and I sort of lying in the bath. But this was a short bath. It was about the after length. And I remember my legs were up against the wall like this. I was in this bath thinking, this is the end of my life. Aww. I couldn't be any more embarrassing. Look at the state of me. I'm in a bath like this. And I thought, well, what's the point? And then
I do think
internal monologue.
I do think, though, in show business, no one grafts like a dancer grafts. I mean, when we do an X Factor, the dancers on the X Factor work harder than anyone else on that show, with so little breaks,
early.
and they'd have to get in early. The turnaround between the dancing is just like so short, and then come on, have to like know these numbers like off, and the only way you ever remember is if they get it wrong, right? So, so you're expecting them to get every single move right all the time. Yeah. Unbelievably difficult work.
It is. It's an extraordinary profession, and I'm so lucky to have surrounded myself through my life with incredibly talented people. But there is nothing like a room full of dancers. When you walk into a room, and even now I just get so excited about going to rehearsals, putting on the show, but with this energy and the dancers and the physicality of the whole thing and the optimism of it all that is the most incredible room to ever be in your life.
And we know you're on tour with Giovanni at the moment, absolutely smashing it. But we really got you on the show to talk about Strictly. That's what we love talking about it.
Dermot should do it. Really.
We keep saying it to Dermot, but I mean, there's rumours. Do you know anything? Do you listen to the rumours or not really?
I don't listen to them. I tell you why I don't listen to them, because once upon a time, and I see a picture on your wall over there, the lovely Terry Hatcher was supposed to be doing Strictly Come On, and apparently she was supposed to be dancing with me.
Really?
Yes.
And it wasn't true?
Yeah. No. I ended up with Anne Widdicombe, which I was delighted about, of course. And she was absolutely marvellous. Made
it was iconic.
Finals.
That was iconic. That was an iconic pairing.
Iconic. But yeah,
do you miss it at all? Do you miss the dancing on Strictly, or do you like being a judge now?
I love being a judge.
It's a great
I'll tell you the reason
progression.
why, because I hated being voted off.
Yeah.
And I used to get so upset about being voted off. The fact about being a judge is, and I make the joke, I stay there till the final. At least I make the final. But I'm there as part of the show for the whole of the show. Imagine if you're doing this wonderful show and you came in for a little segment at the beginning and you were off. Yeah. And you had to watch it.
It used to happen.
Yes. Yes, once upon a time, and now look at you, you're judging. So it's that for me is the biggest thrill, is I'm involved in the show from start to finish. And I love the show.
Yeah,
I've loved the show from day one, and I love it as much now as I've always
You're
done.
a brilliant judge.
Thank you.
We think you're great.
great.
We love you on it.
Also, how great for Tess and Claudia to get on.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where was your knighthood?
Do you know? I think next year. I think they were going to give me the knighthood, and they went, "Oh no, it's a bit orcs. We've got the MBE for the girls, and we can't." So maybe next year. So next year. Yeah. Next year. So next year. I mean, you know, next year I'd make a very good.
I mean, we put it out there now.
Your Gogglebox tonight.
Gogglebox tonight.
Oh.
With Craig River Hall.
Oh, brilliant.
Nice.
That's going to be great.
Television.
Someone let the cats
We
in.
had to. Can I say this out loud? We had to talk about Love Island for a bit.
Did you?
We watched a bit of Love Island. Can I say that?
Yeah, that's all right.
Is that a spoiler?
You probably did. You're probably going to get in trouble.
Probably get in trouble.
Thank
So
you.
apologies to
Thank you for the exclusive.
But we had a little bit of that and other stuff.
Whose house was it?
I've absolutely. Oh right, no, we went to a place. I thought
You had a pretend one.
Yeah, no,
oh, the pretend house.
In a place that no one owns. It's friends Craig and Anton. Operation Tango.
Do the voice. Do the voice.
What voice?
Do that voice in this.
No, it's Anton's book, Operation Tango. Out now.
Hi everyone, just wanted to say thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now listen, we upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.